This accident scenario involved an instrument-rated private pilot and a PA-46 Malibu, who died while executing a go-around maneuver. The aircraft was a high-performance Piper Malibu, and the pilot was the owner of that aircraft. There were no known aircraft discrepancies. The pilot held a private pilot certificate with airplane single-engine land and instrument ratings. He had accumulated 1,660 hours of total flight experience, including about 270 hours in the previous 3 years. During the previous 12 months, the pilot had flown about 65 hours, of which about 30 were flown in the preceding 30 days. This was a qualified and capable pilot. The airport at Westfield has a 9,000-foot-long, 150-foot-wide runway and was the pilot's home base. On the day of the accident, the field was VFR with winds from 240 degrees at 7 knots. Let's take a look at the sequence of events on the day of the accident. The pilot and his passengers had flown to Nantucket the day before and were returning to Westfield. The pilot was sequenced behind 2 other airplanes for a visual approach to runway 20. When the airplane was on final approach, about 150 to 250 feet above the ground, the controller instructed the pilot to go around, because the preceding aircraft had not yet cleared the runway. The pilot confirmed he wanted to remain in the pattern, and was instructed to make left traffic and to squawk VFR. The controller then observed the airplane pitch up and bank, quote, way left. The airplane began to descend, disappeared from view, and was destroyed when it struck a building. The pilot subsequently died of injuries sustained, and both passengers were seriously injured as well. Let's consider some observations. The tower controller reported that he could see almost the entire bottom of both wings during the turnout. It was a very steep turn. Post-accident examination did not reveal any evidence of pre-impact mechanical malfunctions on the engine. The cockpit flap handle was observed in the area of 20 degrees. However, the flap indicator and measurement of the flap actuator jack screw indicated a flap position somewhere between 0 and 10 degrees. The National Transportation Safety Board determined the probable cause of this accident to be the pilot's failure to maintain aircraft control while maneuvering during the go-around. Let's look at some of the key takeaways from this event. Why was the pilot caught unprepared for this go-around? Sequenced behind 2 other airplanes for landing, he might have seen the situation developing. In an airport environment, it's important to think outside of our own aircraft and see the big picture. Another question we need to ask ourselves is how often we practice go-arounds. An actual go-around may only be required once or twice a year. If we don't integrate them regularly into our training, we will not be proficient at them and will not be confident in our ability to execute them when called upon. Every landing is a potential go-around. We need to anticipate and expect the need for a go-around on every landing, so we're not caught off guard when air traffic control or our own initiative prompts one. This pilot had plenty of experience, but that experience may have included relatively few go-arounds. It's important not to hurry a go-around. There's no reason to rush, and if we do rush, we might make a critical mistake. We need to apply climb power and establish an appropriate climb pitch attitude. We need to retract the landing gear and raise the flaps as airspeed and conditions permit. Flap management is always crucial on go-arounds, and it may have contributed to the control issues this pilot was facing. We can't forget to control the airplane laterally either, countering the left turning tendencies that result from application of power and the ensuing climb. We need to remember to avoid excessively steep bank angles at slow airspeeds in the traffic pattern, which might lead to an accelerated stall. Our priority on a go-around must be aircraft control. Communicating with ATC is not critical, it can wait. Finally, we can't become frustrated or aggravated when we are told to go around. We can't let our emotions get the best of us and affect our concentration on the task at hand. Another takeaway is that low-altitude maneuvering is always a potentially hazardous event. We must pay close attention to flap settings, climb rates, altitude, and airspeed. Sometimes we can be complacent as we approach the landing. We think the flight's over. It's important that we never stop flying the airplane until it's safely parked.